our special episode of A Year Gardening. This is being brought to our friends in Dorset, courtesy of Wyke Regis TV. And I know people all around have been watching the videos since they've started being broadcast there, and I thought I'd put things into a little bit of context for you of why we started, how we started, and what we're looking to achieve. So if I go back to 2019, then there were a couple of people I used to do a little bit of gardening advice for, pop round and help out with. And late in 2019, my wife got diagnosed with a blood cancer, and so I thought it'd be better to spend more time at home with her than going out on my days off and helping other people. And so I said to the people that I used to help out that I'd put a few videos onto YouTube to help them through the year in their gardens. And so A Year Gardening was born, and I assumed it would be viewed by the 2 or 3 people as and when, and I wasn't ready for the build-up that came to the state now where we've got 200 odd subscribers and getting 2,000 minutes of views on a weekly basis. So there's quite a difference to where we started and to where we are now. And so what started as a little bit of advice for a few friends has now turned into a more of a gardening show, shall we call it. And so that's where we started. What I'm looking to achieve now is an easy maintenance garden for myself, because late in 2020, early 21, I got diagnosed with arthritis, and I'm having difficult days as well. So I want to ease up on the heavy side of gardening, so I've finished the borders that I want to add to the garden now, and I'll be concentrating mainly on the lighter side of gardening and sitting back and enjoying it. So we've got a few areas that I'd like to take you around and show you, so when you're viewing the shows you'll know roughly where in context everything is. We have a front garden area which I've taken from a square patch of grass with a bit of concrete on it and turned that into a bit of a feature with a shrub border by the driveway for the car. Then as you come through we have something we now call the courtyard garden, which is where we have our washing line. We have an artificial lawn in that because there's a rather large concrete slab which I assume someone either had a boat trailer or maybe a caravan on at some stage. And when I went to see about digging that out, I found out a couple of things. One, there's a gas main running underneath it, and 2, it's around about a foot thick, and I wasn't going to be breaking that up. So we've covered that with artificial grass, but we do have flowers and hanging baskets and things around there, which is really nice. Then as we move through we have a nice large patio, which is an entertaining area for us for during the summer, and that is around about 6 meters by 10 meters, and allows us to have our friends and family round if we're allowed. We've then got the main flower garden area, which is where I am at the moment, and that's roughly 50 to 60 feet long, and we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different beds with different themes to them, and I'll take you through those as well. And then we go through the arch into the working garden, which is where we have greenhouse and polytunnel, the potting shed, and our raised beds for our vegetables. So lots and lots of things to look at. Well, whilst I'm just having a chat, I must say that I have a great affinity with Dorset. As a young boy I used to sing in a boys' choir in London called the London Boys Singers, and every year we used to have a break in Bournemouth and stay at a place called the Glendevon Hotel. Wonder if that's still there. And we had some wonderful times, and My brother used to go to Swanage a lot, and I enjoy Christchurch and Portland as well. So the area is a place that we love, and hopefully I'll be able to come back down one day. That would be really nice. So let me now take you on a tour around the gardens. Now the front garden is separated into two sections. Firstly, we've got the driveway, and along the back we have a shrub border which I've underplanted with some daffodils, and they've given us a lovely show this year, but that's actually coming to an end now. We've got a few shrubs along here, magnolia, ceanothus, etc., and that's really useful for us. Now let's just take a look at the main section of the front garden. Well, this section is the decorative part, and what we have here is a round circle of grass. This used to just be a square of grass, and where the tulips are underneath the window was a concrete path, and that was all broken up and it was horrible. So now we've got the four little curved borders in the middle of the grass which have wild flowers, and we've got some lovely daisies there at the moment. Behind that in the corner is going to be a pink border, and we've got 4 or 5 roses in there and a nice peony. We have a buddleia, and then decorative flower border. And along the front here we have more shrubs and bushes, and those are a sort of a screen, shall we say, between the road and the garden. And then just down here we have the gate which will take us through into the courtyard garden. Now the courtyard garden gets used for many things. Most notably, of course, it's our washing area for our clothes, but we also have it as a seating area and a bit of a welcome area when people come and visit. The ground is now a artificial grass area. As I said, concrete underneath there, can't do much with that, but we do have our hanging baskets and things. My apologies for the two big pieces of wood there, but they are going to be forming a new raised bed down in the vegetable garden. This is where I have the first of my water butts, where we collect water from the roof of the summer house, which is very useful. Then if we look down beside the summer house there, that's the area that takes us through to our patio and entertaining area. Well, from the patio we have a great view all over the North Weald of Kent. We can see as far out as Surrey. We've got places like Biggin Hill, Dartford and things that we can actually see the access through to. Sevenoaks is just over there, and then we've got places like Hadlow in the distance. Beautiful village, but it also affords us a fantastic view of the garden. We have the stream running through with a little bridge over the top, the new borders, and for this summer we've put up a little gazebo in the garden so that we can enjoy that as well. So let me just show you now some of the garden borders and features, but whilst I'm here, before we disappear, I'll just show you the herb garden area that I've started just in front of the summer house. This is a new area that we put in over the winter, and very pleased with that. And I'm also very pleased with this pot of tulips that I planted back in October, November last year. Can't remember, I think it was October when I put those in. But behind me we've got our pots for the herb garden, which is going to be a rather splendid little addition to the garden, especially as we're going to be relaxing on this deck. We've got our little barbecue there and just a few things to thoroughly enjoy for the summer. Now this beautiful rhododendron was given to me by a neighbour, and we've got that growing as a main feature in this border here. And again, this was put in the autumn of last year. I've got a couple of other plants just growing down in here, which I've purchased online during the winter. We've got a couple of willows over the back here which are going to look lovely, and then we've got some sorbus just down here. Let me change the camera view for you. So we've got just down here a couple of little sorbus trees. Let's zoom in on that there, and they're rather young at the moment, but they will grow to a beautiful height, maybe 3 or 4 metres, also commonly known as the rowan tree. On this side of the garden, I've got my mini orchard, and this here is a conference pear, and it's lovely to see the leaves just coming on this as well. We've got a pear tree here, we've got a plum tree there, and we've got an apple tree in the far corner and behind me, so that gives us just a nice variety. Over on the far side, underneath the sheet, is the peach tree. That's just getting some protection at the moment, and that's a soft fruit border, and we have things like strawberries and raspberries and our rhubarb growing there, so nice things for the table. Let's have a look down here at the stream. Well, I started this stream in mid-July, I think it was. Yes, July of 2020, and it's in shape. It's not completely finished. I've still got a final coat of sand and cement to put over the top and another treatment. It's well over halfway, and we've just got the finishing to do just to bring it up to that lovely spec that we want. But the sound of the water whilst we're in the garden is absolutely fantastic, and the planting is going to encompass this as well. And so we've got this here, we've got a little woodland border the other side where I've got a couple of cordyline and some spirea and things growing in there, which is very, very nice. We've got a hellebore and heather area behind as well. Unfortunately, because of the angle of the lights today, I'm not able to show that with the camera, but you'll see that on various videos as we go through. So let's just pop down now into the working area of the garden and the vegetables. Okay, so this is the final bit of the garden. It's the vegetable garden, greenhouse, shed, and in the distance behind the polytunnel. And down this side here, I've got 3 raised beds, and behind the shed there's an area where I'm going to be building another raised bed, and that one is going to be the wood that you saw earlier on in the courtyard garden. So all in all, we've got a fairly decent system here, and so when I refer to a particular part of the garden now, you'll know roughly where I am and what we're doing. Now, the distance between the front of the front garden and the back fence is approximately 200 feet, and so we've got a fair distance in which to work. So talking of work, with this being Easter weekend, Good Friday being our traditional day to plant our potatoes, let's get some potatoes into the ground. Well, this is the repaired raised bed that I've rebuilt this year to specifically grow some potatoes in, and I prepared this with a trench which is 6 to 8 inches deep, or 150 mil and a bit for people who use new money. And we've actually treated this soil. We've got compost in there, we've got blood, fish and bone in the ground, all good fertilisers to encourage good growth. So I've got my potatoes which have been in the greenhouse to bring on their sprouting, and you can see we've got some nice little buds on these, and they're going to give us hopefully our first crop. And I'm just going to put these in around about 6 inches apart along this bed, and if we can get them with the eyes up, we I'm told can get a better crop, but I don't know whether that is the truth. I'll get these in here and then we'll start filling it in. Well, there we go, we've got 10 potatoes in the ground and a cane at each end of the row to make sure that we can remember where we planted them until they grow up a little bit more. So now it's just time for me to get my spade and start putting some soil over the top of these potatoes. And I'm not going to put a great deal of depth on there, just a couple of inches, and as they come through then we'll just add more to the top, earthing up, keep our potatoes covered, but we just need them to grow. Don't know what that is, and we'll just keep them under cover, so they've got about 4 inches over the top, which is ample for these little babies to start their journey. Oh, look at that there. Let's get rid of that. That's a baby dandelion. Put that onto that piece of wood now. Although the wildlife like the dandelions, I'm afraid I'm not a lover. There we go. So that's our first row of first early potatoes in the ground, and 2 to 3 months time we'll revisit those and see what they look like. Now whilst we're down here, let's just have a quick look in the poly tunnel. Well, this is the latest addition to the garden, and I started to put this up in the January show this year, so if you haven't seen it, it's worth visiting A Year Garden January 2021 and just have a quick look at that. But we've started now putting in some cabbages over this side here and some cauliflowers at the end. Got the front door open and the vent open on the side, this side, purely because it's such a warm day. I think it's around about 20-21 degrees, which is very, very unusual for this time of year. But we'll get these nicely watered in this evening once the sun goes across the sky, and we're back into the shade, and we'll get a nice bit of water on here. And I'm going to be sowing some radishes in the far side there, and where I am at the moment is going to be my beetroot, so I need to get that sorted out as well. So that's a little tour of the garden. Hope you enjoyed it. Well, that brings me to the end of this little show, especially for my friends in Dorset. Now, Easter is a time where we celebrate new life, the resurrection of Christ, and how wonderful his life was to save all of ours. So new life is a wonderful thing that we can celebrate in the garden as well. What has lain dormant is coming to life and showing new shoots. So at this time where we are now coming out of a national lockdown and our lives are showing green shoots of recovery, it's a good time just to sit and think, say thank you, and enjoy the wonderful creation around us. And as I'm looking at the wonderful leaves growing on the Amelanchier tree behind me, it's just such a special time of year for so many reasons. So to all of you, may I just say, stay safe, be kind to each other, happy gardening, and in my traditional manner, cheers.